Video games. You love them. You hate them. But in 2025, the gaming scene is at a particular stage.
Anomali mengerikan yang hanya keluar pada sahur.
And Roblox with its many experiences can't stop to amaze people. But in a world filled with the bad, there is also the good. And then there's also the in-betweens. Yeah, that's TDS. The game is in a very weird spot. It's not even a surprise that TDS updates aren't good anymore. Alter Ego, a game using the asymmetric core game formula and inspired by Forsaken, has taken full priority. And the project is now puppeteering TDS to failure. And free updates. These mark the breaking point for TDS, the beginning of the end. These let you predict the future of TDS, a future that... So here are the good, the bad, and the ugly, the main problems that developers refuse to fix, and how everything pieces together the harsh reality about the game. Before I get into it, I'd like to thank Cliché for helping me get all the free cam footage you're about to see. So please just go to his channel after watching my video and share some support. A subscribe to his channel means a lot, so I'd appreciate if y'all would subscribe to him, especially if you like this video. Alright, now let's get back into the video. The updates I'll go over are the game modifiers and trials update, the takeover event, and the bug fixes and improvements update. These are the exact updates that have captured the game at its lowest recently. I'll first go over the game modifiers and trials update cause it's apparently a long-awaited feature. Like, holy sh, bro, everyone and their f***ing cats were waiting for this feature. And it's actually really good. Only as a concept. So the update was supposed to be about the new Tesla tower, but got pushed back by a lot because it didn't meet their standards of striving to provide players with the highest quality content when the game strives for quantity over quality. But now we have game modifiers and trials update, one where they had around 3 weeks to prepare for a feature that already needs many updates to be fixed. Here's how things work. Challenge trials are the replacement of weekly challenges. They no longer use the old fallen mode wave structure, but a custom one with enemies taken from easy and casual modes. Then the final boss from PvP Champion Templar. These challenge trials change every 3 hours from one modifier to another on specific maps. And if you beat the trials, you receive fallen mode rewards that are multiplied by the value of the modifier that also comes together with the other rewards. There are 13 different modifiers that all have their own multiplier values. And apparently, modifiers can be used only in the 5 main game modes. It's supposed to work on all game modes that have an intermission lobby, which means hardcore, 5 main game modes, and even unranked PvP. The reason modifiers weren't in hardcore is because some modifiers didn't work. I don't think most people knew which modifiers didn't work, but my guess is that inflation and broke, 2 modifiers that affect economy. 2 that shouldn't work with the old system that hardcore used. A flawed system that caused units from military base and mercenary base to give you 2 times, maybe even 3 times the cash from collision damage. So that's why a port to the new system was necessary. But oh god, this update had developers be clueless. You can really tell how rushed this update was. On the first day of the update, they decided not to have skill trees usable in trials. But then they added it in the first trial at one point. Then, when the next trial appeared, skill trees were gone again until later when they were added back. And now skill trees are permanently on. Things just don't make sense. From how difficult it is to obtain committed modifier, to how easy it is in comparison to get exploding enemies. One requires very complicated strategizing, the other can be done solo, no problem. Then Glass Modifier, another 1.1 times modifier, was at first on Mason Arch, a much harder map than what is used now, Stained Temple. Why was the map for Glass Modifier changed but not for Committed? In Committed, you have Retro Zone, the hardest 2-lane map in the whole game. So hard that it was incredibly difficult to barely beat in a trio game with level 50 towers only and no skill trees. Like, just look at the many close calls we had. But that's not all, because all the modifier scores are butchered, or at least the modifier effects are unbalanced. Something like exploding enemies, which does barely anything, gives you 1.3 times score multiplier, while something like inflation, which is 1.2 times, makes games way harder than most modifiers. Everything about modifiers needs adjustments, and that can be said for challenge trials as well. Its balancing isn't the brightest. It's first of all too long. It feels like it should have been 30 waves. Then some waves are not balanced well at all. Like, wave 10 is just evil, I tell you. You can't tell me that one of the hardest waves in the trials is wave 10, 12 and 13, where one of the hardest enemies to deal with are darn breakers. Everyone hated its old version, Mysteries. Everyone hates its new version, Breakers. Let me tell you, this enemy is literally invincible for a few milliseconds. Those are called iframes. The moment a breaker breaks, when those insides spawn, they are invincible for a few frames, enough time to waste a ton of shots from different towers. It just eats up bullets. So, I'd say that the wave structure should be shortened to 30 waves and made a bit harder, where it doesn't require that much crowd control. Literally, if you don't bring a tower like Rocketeer, Archer, or Electroshocker, you can't win. Enemies are spammed too much and too grouped up. It should be hard enough that players using level 50 towers will have a rather difficult time rewarding skilled players, then decently difficult for players above level 150. And skill tree shouldn't be allowed. Challenge trials should be difficult rather than tedious. This is the perfect opportunity to have the best feature in the game in years. Just think about it. If you have to put in effort to obtain the modifier, then it will all pay off when you get to use the modifiers to obtain skills in skill tree, golden crates, a few other coin options, and especially hardcore towers. This would reward strategy and proper execution for level 50 players, and actually be a very useful feature for them. They don't need to depend on modifiers, it's just another option for skilled and determined players to use in grinding. That should be the point of modifiers. You don't have to use them, but if you can, it will pay off. It's really unfortunate that this update had to end up like this. It's that one good idea that should have changed the game forever, but didn't. It's also that the package it came together with isn't the brightest either. The other additions and changes are pretty mediocre. An AFK system that rewards players after some time, a useful yet ugly new elevator system, new UI elements, some looking good, others looking like they were made in 5 minutes, a change that allows players to complete any mission quest at any time, I will talk more about mission quests later in the video, and 2 rebalance changes, a golden soldier buff that had finally put an end to how miserable the tower was in comparison to other golden towers, and a medic nerf. 2 rebalance changes that, of course, aren't perfect. Golden Soldier feels only a bit overpowered, being too strong in some scenarios. And Medic is still too strong for an intermediate tower worth 2,000 coins. But what this update shares with the other updates is everything is rushed. And the side effects are many bugs and glitches, like a few broken modifiers, even worse performance problems where the game is internally breaking in a way where some assets are desynchronized, animations literally turn 8-bit, and some towers like Pursuit would simply make the game nearly unplayable. It's the sad reality of every single update. Even bug fixes updates, where they usually generate more bugs and glitches than fixes. Oh god, why am I talking about this shit? Oh hey, this is the Takeover Event, which represents the worst TDS update lately, because it was part of probably the worst Roblox event ever. It felt rushed and it all ignored the whole schlep situation going on as if nothing happened. I won't talk about it though, more so of how TDS as well as other games couldn't even care about it. The TDF's devs barely have time to work on releasing Alter Ego and updating TDS. It's the last thing to care about this shitty event that was released in school days of all release dates. Despite that, TDS still took part in the event. And with that we got a new map. The devs didn't make new enemies, it was just 4 difficulties that represent easy, intermediate, molten, and fallen mode. You couldn't even solo it, you were forced in a quad game, like it literally felt like you were playing quad normally on a new map. The only addition is that you could choose between 3 other loadouts other than your own, and that you also had jail, Modifier, on the last tedious mission. Why? If you place a tower from within your loadout on any wave, after 5 waves it will be jailed for 1 wave. Something that can be removed if you just lose and restart from a previous wave, because of course there were game-breaking bugs in that event. It was boring, it was easy, it was laggy, and it was buggy. It was a nothing burger, there was no new tower, no nothing. And just as it was added, it's already gone. If you can't see it, it's not there. And now, what I like to believe is the most underrated update out there, the bug fixes and improvements update. It didn't exactly change or add much to the game, it was just an overall good update compared to the rest, despite being a small update. I classed it as the ugly update because it kinda is, with how it was presented, but to me personally, at the very least, is how basic updates should have looked like. Firstly, we got a new map rework. I could just glance over it and move on to talk about something else, but I have something y'all might want to listen to. The map is, I think, around 4 to 5 years old, so I guess that's a good reason to rework it, but not necessary in this time period. The new look is amazing, the lighting is very sweet, and it's well made. It creates a very nice atmosphere, a mystery too. Looking out into the map, you can see a never-ending row of pillars, extending far within the mist. You just have to wonder what this whole megastructure is and how did all the playable area come to be. It makes players wander off and connect with the map, even if it's for a brief moment. I had a good first impression with it, I like it, but why are the bridges a side character? After all, it's named Dusty Bridges, or Dusty Bridge? The developers make a typo or have done it on purpose? Is this megastructure supposed to be the longest and most useless bridge ever? It's unclear. Whatever, but even when visually a map is done right, it all doesn't matter. The game's maps are underutilized. There's no reason to play Dusty Bridges, or Lighthouse, or Sacred Mountains, or Enhanced Forest, or other good-looking maps. You only rarely get to play them when you're forced by challenge trials or mission quests. And I find this method very cheap and boring. You get to play very boring games just to complete a repetitive challenge trial that sometimes doesn't even reward you with a good modifier to use. Something that is no different from how boring weekly challenges used to be that wasn't always appreciated. Or one task out of the many other boring tasks from a mission quest. To me, maps should play a bigger role than just preference and aesthetics. They shouldn't just be thrown in a game while there are only a few maps that people care to play. Nobody will want to play a random map over playing the easiest or the best speedrun maps the game has to offer. There's no significant reward bonus for playing harder maps. There's nothing the game rewards you for playing different maps. So no reward, no reason. Besides that, maps should also have character, a gimmick, or just a better reason to fit in the game. They should not only be distinct through visuals but also gameplay. And the game has such maps, except they all share the same trait. It makes the game easier. From Honey Valley, Crossroads, Wrecked Battlefield 1 and 2, to Summer Castle, Fungi Island, and Coral Deep. Then what's the point of other maps? Dusty Bridges barely has any distinct features. It only stands out visually, then barely makes an impact in its gameplay with its placement limitations and spread out path layout. It's just another map thrown into the pile. But again, if there's no real reason to play these maps, even a unique map like Derelict Outpost wouldn't get many players. And worst of all is, why the fuck is Dusty Bridges the face of this update? Like, bro, nobody cares. It's sad. We'll never know when maps will finally be utilized properly. But until then, we have below catching the most unnoticed issues in the game. Like, did you know this map had a water issue? I didn't, but below did. Thank you, below. Thank you, below, for fixing it. The game is saved. Second change, reworked endgame screen. To be honest, it's good. It looks nice, it displays all the necessary information after a game. Ads and the VIP Game Pass are displayed very well non-intrusively. But best of all, here comes the reason why I praise this update so much. You can now play again after winning! Okay, this isn't really that great, but it's a good quality of life addition to the game. Okay, so this is the best change. When losing and restarting, you no longer have to sit for 19 seconds anymore! I really don't know why it took developers months to realize how bad of an idea it was to force players to wait 19 seconds after each restart. But at least it's finally gone. And that's about the only perfect thing about this update. I have nothing bad to say about it. But it wouldn't be a tedious update without issues. On day 1, the UI was broken on mobile. It was fixed the very next day, which is great. The level bar doesn't work at all, and after restarting, it's unplayable. Why? Do you see this? Do you see the minuscule red dot on screen? Yeah, well, you cannot unsee it now. Thank me later. But that's all. Usually new features and changes bring more issues than fixes, but this one is nearly perfect. Only a few visual bugs that don't even matter, then it's perfect. It's actually shocking. Well done. Third changes, bug fixes and improvements, the name of the update. The first improvement... So the second improvement, where you can't even read the changes properly in the UI, they just added common sense to mission quest. Good job! You now actually have to pay for skins instead of getting both paid and a skin for doing the most boring stuff in TDS. Can I just say that? Yes, I love beating Intermediate, Molten, and Fallen mode twice, or dealing 1.5 million damage, or use an ability 100 times.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
So, before, at the very least in my case, I would complete mission quests for 3 reasons. Number 1, extra coins. Number 2, the skin. Number 3, Number 1 again, I don't care about the skin. Now that the number 1 reason is gone, I'm never going to ever do any mission quests for any random skin anymore. So because of how boring and useless mission quests are, now that you get less rewards out of them, you have no reason to complete them unless you want a skin really badly or Firework Technician because of a broken combo that isn't fixed yet, Shotgunner and Firework Technician. But for some reason you can't get the tower anymore, even though it was obtainable for so long past the 1st of July. And since challenge trials and modifiers, it's gone. Huh. But wait, I would have liked this change if we lived in a different universe. Like, why would I care? No. Why would anyone care about 2 mission fixes when mission quests are this bad? Except for some people, I think. But besides the mission quest slob, we actually have a few good improvements. Like Necromancer targeting fix. It's great. I never used this tower. And a metagame restart fix, a bug I never even noticed. I had to sit for 19 seconds doing nothing. Why would I use restart when it's faster to just rejoin the game? But okay, this is a great fix. Having an instant restart, then now working from medic? Well, everyone would have hated developers for it. So it should be appreciated that they fixed it, but already that's where the good improvements end. However, there are 2 shadow fixes unlisted which were really necessary. A medic bug that I'll talk about in a different video that would make you invincible, and an assassin fix where when given flying detection from medic ability, UAV or Firework Technician, it would either not see the enemies or hit them but do 0 damage. And it's kind of strange. It's clear these bugs were really important for the game, yet not announced. Now, Shadow Update means it's an unannounced update or change. And for some reasons I can't explain, developers keep shying away from letting people know about these important changes and fixes. Tower buffs and nerfs are always listed, yet there are unnoticed buffs towards Snowballer. Or even bug fixes, just like Assassins and Medics fixes, that feel should have been announced. Now, don't get me wrong, shadow updates are usually fine, but now when their frequency is excessive. These updates are one of the reasons this video took so long to make, where I would have to update my script constantly almost every day in the span of an entire week. And in terms of all the features and changes this update had added, it's the best basic update they have ever made in years potentially, or at least recently. It aimed to add simple and small things to the game and didn't create more problems than it aimed to fix. It's exactly the type of update TDS needed in the past year, especially when trying to push out a safe and small update. It's the update that proved that some ideas stick when thrown at the game. Except, this is the one bad thing TDS has been doing recently. The developers keep on adding and changing things without much consideration. Besides the challenge trials and modifiers update, and especially this bug fixes and improvements update, all other updates keep on using the same ineffective formula of advertising one selling point for an update, then bashing in a bunch of other stuff on top of it in hopes everything will work out, regardless of being a good idea or being a finished product. More content doesn't mean it's always gonna be good, especially when delivered in many pieces. For example, although the initiative of changing up features like Mission Quest was good, all the changes for it seem useless. Although the changes for the feature in its essence are actually really good and logical, it feels like there's no point in making these changes when it's obvious the core of the feature needs to change first. It's like trying to carve a statue but you start with the details rather than getting the shape down first. I do understand that some updates could feel underwhelming, and additions like these add more depth to each update to feel more packed, but it clearly doesn't work out anymore. Because all these decisions lead to concealing the main intention behind each change and just makes players ignore the potential of them. Making a callback to having Dusty Breaches as the face of the update, it's of course going to be a glanced over addition to the game if maps don't yet serve a proper purpose in the game. It's just content for the sake of content. It almost feels like ever since 2021, when the game was mainly criticized for lacking content, developers took that idea too far, ending up submerged in an entire body of sewage water where it's all just unpolished content. And now, for the most crucial part of this video, balancing. Most updates never get this part right. Like, come on now, just take a look at Assassin. So it used to be better than all melee towers, higher direct DPS than minigunner, and better crowd control than most towers, all while being an intermediate tower worth 800 coins. Who the f balanced that? And now it's finally nerfed. And it would be a decent tower if only a shotgunner did not exist. Like, why? Why the f does the game have two towers that nearly function the same? What's even the point of Assassin if Shotgunner has lead detection in addition, better cost efficiency, and for only 200 more coins? Even if Assassin has higher DPS than Shotgunner, it's still not better than it. New Evergreen Tower my ass. It shouldn't exist. The most useless tower in the game right now. Like, just use Shotgunner at this point. It's dumb to think that this isn't the only tower that is useless. But, to be honest, we all misinterpret what is going on with balancing right now. What's been happening lately is that slowly but surely, all towers begin to have a purpose in their own unique situations. The entire roster will not include useless towers anymore. It is clear that the QA team is trying their best to make that happen. It's just that some rebalances don't always work out, but others do. Take for example Commando. After its buff, can now be used as a proper mid to late game tower that can do extremely well, or at least is now a fun tower to use. Same goes for Engineer, but the main underlying problem is power creep. You see, after the Engineer buff, it became balanced when compared to other towers, where it is now very good for solo games rather than being completely useless. But it's now way too strong for game modes. So what happens if you use Engineer in solo hardcore? Nothing happens. But then what if you use it with the best towers in the game, excluding event towers? Meaning no Swarmer, Swarmer. Nothing happens. That's because there's no real best tower in the game. So what about a loadout with the highest DPS possible, no matter the range? Nothing happens. But if you take that loadout, not on Crossroads, but on Wrecked Battlefield 2, nothing happens. Because you didn't like, comment, subscribe, share, and watch the whole video. Well, you see, using that loadout, an Engineer level 2 would do early game, then mercenary bases with riot cards would turn early to mid game into a joke and a boring winning game. Then, after waking up, getting all Engineers maxed out for lead balloons, all buffed by 2 medics would... which leads to doing whatever you want, so... Then late game is just a setup building experience, trying to fit all towers in a mercenary base's range, and placing one stun bait to bait the stuns of stun enemies that get baited so that... Well, I think you guys get it. The stronger towers get, the easier beating game modes becomes. With less difficulty also comes less strategizing and just more boring and unfulfilling games. And it's most apparent when it comes to hardcore. Like, solo hardcore, as a challenge, is dead. It's not hard at all anymore. There's barely any strategy involved in beating it. It literally was one of the most notorious and greatest achievements in TDS history, all that for it to become a joke. Literally, the hardest part is placing towers. But again, that's only the easiest and simplest strategy, but there is more. You can only slightly make it harder with level 50 towers. Yes, level 50 towers. Get a bit lucky and still be able to win, no problem. It was meant to be the hardest game mode in the game, but has been dethroned by Polluted Wastelands 2 and maybe even Hidden Wave, not for the right reasons. To put it simply, the game mode needs a rework and it has lost its identity, no longer having anything hard in it. And after that moment, there hasn't been a single game mode that was able to capture the same challenging experience. In fact, the issue isn't tower buffs or nerfs. Despite the developers and or QA team's controversial decision to not balance towers around current game modes, as it appears to be the case, the situation calls for a different approach. As I stated, all towers will soon have a reason to be used, and that is what matters more. Instead, game modes themselves should be rebalanced. There are so many towers with unique traits and abilities that never get to be used because of the game modes not giving them a proper test. As it is right now, you can beat the entirety of the main game solo, including Polluted Wastelands 2, Hidden Wave, getting Quick Draw Badge, and even beating Lost Souls. It's a good thing because you shouldn't be bound to only play in multiplayer, but a bad thing because there is still a demand to play multiplayer in most cases, and as it is right now, it's horrible. And it's probably out of my reach to know or understand what would have to be done about this, but I still have an idea. The game is very easy to beat. If you can solo it, playing in duo, trio, or even quad teams should make it infinitely easier, right? No. The game doesn't give players anything to work off of. There's a tutorial that only teaches you how to place, upgrade, and sell towers, and also a few strategy elements like single target, crowd control, and special types of enemy detections like hidden detection, but nothing else. Then the player has nothing. And I suppose, well, you just play the game and that's how you get better, right? You can't. The game lacks the elements to make players understand how they would have to play the game. Now, I won't dive too deep in this topic because I'm not well accustomed with what would have to be done about this. Especially that maybe the only means of learning the game might just be through trial and error, where you learn from losing. But I do have other factors that just ruin the experience for everyone. 1,000 bugs and glitches in the game, crazy performance problems that would probably make it impossible for mobile players to play the game, constant changes to towers that is probably impossible for the average player to keep up and understand everything, proved by the type of content Corso as well as others used to make after each update. And just a constantly evolving complexity that layers up to the point you could have something like Duo Pizza Party Speedrun, Coin Grind, NSD, level 25, no skill tree, no consumables, all modifiers, no micro, no RNG, 3 steps, 100% consistency, and beginner friendly. And can also be done on 5 FPS. Like, that's something a strategy could say. Of course players need help, and the only help is from third-party apps. Whether it is from Discord, friends, the whole motherload of strategy documents, video guides, and even a special place that I just gotta give all the thanks in the world for existing and being so useful, the game's wiki page. My main method of how I got better at the game. Like, even if the game has something that helps, like Commander's lines, almost nobody will ever read what Commander has to say, and like, no offense to the voice actor, but I can't listen to this with a straight face and take all that information.
I can't believe it! They're using hidden bosses! With our level of firepower, nothing will get past us.
So, getting back to how all this plays out in multiplayer, nobody knows how to play the game. There's no way for players to know how to work together as a team, form good loadouts, and come out with a proper plan. There are 3 ways to play multiplayer. You queue up using the matchmaking system, which is just hell. You get a team that barely knows what they're doing, or a team that doesn't know anything and doesn't even communicate, something that might become worse when Roblox will start banning communication for users under a specific age. Or even worse, where they straight up leave and make it way too hard to even get to play. Then, if you use a place like PartyQ from the official TDS Discord server, where you would use Discord as a means to communicate and plan things out, one of the players would have to post as the leader and guide the others. That's assuming the PartyQ players don't want to rely on a strategy document. But even then, There are problems when it comes to players following this strategy, where it's still possible for them to fail. The only way in my eyes to succeed in this game without third-party help is to at least have a leader that knows how to composite proper loadouts and lead his teammates with an easy-to-use strategy that can only be developed through a few games, while praying other teammates would listen to the leader. But getting that one leader is just nearly impossible if learning the game requires so much input from third-party help. It's probably the main reason why towers just have to be overbuffed so much and why the game is slowly losing the idea of being a strategy game. The only strategy involved is knowing which expensive tower would do everything for the team. Skill consists of using the right towers, not knowing how to use them. An idea that applies to all the casual players. Though it's only the right thing. It's more fun for the average player to win games like this. If it was to require proper strategizing without knowing how to get to that winning strategy, there's no point in making the game hard like that. And as long as the game lacks the proper guidance for players, power creep will remain. That would be the idea. Except it appears TDS developers don't even know where they want to go. I'm assuming they want to keep some of the old player base that appreciated how challenging the game used to be. They tried to give dedicated players ways to keep playing the game to challenge themselves, ways like soloing Polluted Wastelands 2 for a secret achievement, or being the entire main game solo, or beating a challenge using modifiers, maxing skill tree, completing a mission quest, PvP, and maybe even more in the future. But it all fails at that. Polluted as it stands is really unfun and unrewarding. First of all, the easiest and fastest strategies require special towers like Swarmer, Firework Technician, or Biologist. The best strategies require Mercenary Base and a mechanic known as Mercenary Base Micro, where you sell and replace the tower many times to fill up the map with as many Riot Guards to do as much damage as possible. A strategy that can't even be used effectively because of all the performance issues. And if you would want a different alternative, it would be to grind to max out skill tree, which could take many weeks. And secondly, Polluted is a chaotic and unpredictable mess of a game mode with too many enemies that make each game different. And I just gotta give it to TDS that they made the worst enemy concept in tower defense history ever. Mutagenic Blight. This enemy makes enemies really fast, makes them double HP, or even both in just a matter of seconds. And can also be summoned by nuclear monster randomly, and then it's impossible to win, regardless of your loadout, not without abusing everything the game has. It just doesn't feel worth it grinding this much for a single game mode to solo when it's not even that rewarding or fun to be. Soloing all game modes could have been alright if it wasn't for Polluted and Hidden Wave, because Hidden Wave has the same problem with Mercenary Base where it is impossible to micro under heavy lag. Not even attempting challenges using modifiers feels fun. Its only purpose is for Fallen, and it has already been discovered that there's no challenge by adding any special modifier combo. And lastly, PvP is just dead for reasons I won't start to talk about. There's no proper endgame in TDS, but is there really an incentive to care about that? Let's be real for a second. TDS is one of the few decent games on Roblox. The platform is filled with cash grabs that only prioritize money over anything. You have many games capitalizing on a gacha system where games are all live services that encourage their users to invest time, money, and effort abusing strategies like fear of missing out to gain a large player count. It's hard for TDS to resist that urge to hop on this trend. It's probably not that hard to copy the big games and become rich nowadays. I don't know for sure. I'm only assuming that it would be very easy for a big team like TDS's. But all of what's going on could play a major role with potentially the developer's psyche. The development team is pretty large, and it's pretty hard to try and make a proper game while staying alive in this wasteland of games. These brain-rot games are breaking player count records, pulling in probably millions of dollars, while games that just try to be good, like Forsaken, Pressure, and others, have player counts 20 times lower than them. It's hard to view these behemoths on the same platform doing this well, and I want to think of ways to utilize their strategies for profit for your own game too. If players don't value quality anymore, what's the point of making anything good? It's the same issue with TDS content creation scene too. Some people pour effort into making high quality content, yet the best strategy ultimately remains to post raw footage, barely edited video guides, rankings, things that can be uploaded in a matter of hours. And the game itself doesn't even allow high quality content. If you ponder too long making a big video, you will end up being behind schedule because updates happen too frequently where videos can pop in and out of relevance like that. TDS has dipped their toes into trying out live events. It was a huge success for only 2 hours though, reaching a new player count record of 160,000 players, before inevitably going back to the norm. It appears that the developers are trying out new things to bring the game to life. Alter Ego's nearing its release, there have been huge promises made of what could potentially start the process of fixing TDS. I really hope that things will get better over time. I hope that Alter Ego will succeed, even though I'm not a fan of the game. And I also hope that TDS won't fall victim and become one of the many brain-rot cash grab games. It doesn't need to be this way. And I gotta appreciate that the developers haven't gone for that route yet, only hinted. I'm a player that has spent around 3 to 4 years in this game. It's obvious that I hope that it'll one day succeed in the right way. The game is in a very rough state, and it needs to start healing. All these balancing issues, all this content spam, bi-weekly updates with zero time for anything, these unpolished ideas, bugs and glitches, and all the other problems with the game. I know it's not entirely the developer's fault. I don't want to believe that. I just hope that Below somehow sees this video and realizes that there are people that really pray for the development team to do good, have money and be successful in their own right, and be able to make a good game for players to enjoy after a long day of school, college, work. This game has been part of our lives. It's one that brought us satisfaction, joy, fulfillment, excitement, thrill, and friendships. Even if I had grown hate for the game for how things have been looking up, I can't ignore and cherish the good things this game has done. From the event that brought me to the game, Easter 2020, and even its Bloxy Award, to the dreaded 2021, where surprisingly I had a lot of fun in. Playing Frost Invasion, soloing Badlands on Fallen for the first time, trying to conquer hardcore with no more than level 50 towers and beating Solar Eclipse. To 2022 when I was trying to become one of the first to ever beat hardcore solo. A moment where I hadn't experienced the same pressure and thrill in my life before, wanting to make history so badly. To even the past 3 years where TDS would keep going over ups and downs to forever change into something new. If I didn't know any better, if anyone would have told me about this game called TDS that started as a school project, and that it ended up having a legacy, a history, and a lifespan of 6 years with many great achievements and notices, I wouldn't have believed you. The game had something special for me. It hooked me up, and emphasis on had. Though, over time, that would be reignited every now and then. And after all, it's part of who I am today. My character development, my online buddies that I goof around a lot with, guys that had me cracking, but also healing. And I'd like to thank you, hello, for being responsible for it. And I believe in you, that there is a way to conquer this colossal challenge that is to fix TDS and make it better. And I'll be there for every step on the way to a brighter day for TDS. After all, I'm just a player that wants to see his favorite game shine. Sometimes I think it's just healthier to just acknowledge that the TDS developers are humans too, and that they, like us, simply try to fulfill a role in life to make it a better place, not just for themselves but for others too, as much as they can. And those people should sometimes be comforted and motivated to keep going, even if they make mistakes. Because pointing out every good thing is probably the only thing to hear to improve. We live in a society where we don't give enough credit to the right people, and we just take the role of a consumer with no responsibility over what we consume. We let algorithms try and manipulate us, guide us, constrain us. Life isn't about that. So, why hate? Why ponder over these insignificant details? Details that drown you in hate and disappointment, when you could just surround yourself with what helps you grow, learn, and simply do better. You can't let all of that drag you down, even though this unfair world tries to. Because sometimes, the little things are what keep us going. Moments, people, the significant details. We need to start valuing what matters. Our rights, our principles, our desire to do good. Don't look over your shoulder at others breaking everything down, because that chaos can break you too. Be right with yourself. Value what makes you, you. Not the greed or cheap strategies that this world tries to sell you, but the simple desire to be happy, to feel whole, to reflect the good qualities each of us carries. Don't let the world crush you. Just find your way to coexist in your own rhythm with your own morals. Every line of code, every idea, every late night, every single change in the game should be a staple of a creative vision. Your vision. This situation exhausted me. All this work for one video. But maybe it's all worth it. Maybe it could make a difference. But I guess these are just some random words from the internet. I am Wistable, and this was TDS.